Hi, welcome to the Crafts channel. My name's Corinne Brad, and in true sporadic fashion I've got nothing to actually show you, but I have got a really quick demonstration how to make a granny square. And if you like crochet or you've never tried crochet, granny squares are one of the easiest ways to make up a blanket or a throw. So we'll get started because it is quite easy and it's one of those good things that you can practice on. Get yourself some yarn. DK yarn is perfect, and a 4mm hook. And make a slip knot by putting your finger through the yarn and then using it as a hook to hook that yarn back through the loop, and then pop it on your hook like this. Now with the granny square, what you do is you work in the round, it's called, because you make a chain of 4, like so. Simply yarn over through the loop, yarn over through the loop, and then you join this end of the loop, this end of the chain, to the beginning by putting your hook in one of the loops and then pulling that yarn through. And you make a little ring like this. And then you work into the ring. Now, I always do what's called a turning chain. It's a single chain like this, and it brings your work up to the same level. It's a lot easier, especially when you're working in the round, to do that turning chain, because it means rather than you doing a continual spiral, you've actually got a jump up and a jump, and you can see where your rings finish, really. Not explaining that very well, but you know what I mean. So I'm going to put 8 double crochet into this ring, and we do this by taking the hook, putting it through the hole in the centre of the ring, grabbing the yarn behind and pulling it through, putting the yarn over the hook and pulling it through 2 loops. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm only counting because otherwise I will lose count, 6, 7, and 8. And then what you do is you just join it up to the first double crochet that you did with a slip stitch. So you've got a nice solid foundation ring. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to work 4 sets of 3 trebles into this ring, so they come off a bit like a Maltese cross. And this is your first row of your granny square. So where you're positioned here, if you just chain 2, and this brings you up to the same height that you'll be working when you're working trebles. Like I chained 1 to do a double, chain 2 to do a treble. And this chain of 2 will act as the first treble. To do a treble, you bring the yarn over the hook. That's the other thing I was going to say. Some people crochet like that. I find it really difficult to then get that yarn, get that loop of yarn through the loop that's on the hook. If you bring it from the back, it's so much easier because you're pulling the yarn away from the hook. But that's just a little aside. Anyway, you've put the yarn over the hook, go back into where you originally slip stitched and grab the yarn, over hook through 2, over hook through 2, and repeat that like so. Don't be tempted to cut your starting end off really short, because if the worst should happen and it comes unravelled, there's nothing you can do about it. Just tolerate it and sew it in at the end. So that's your first little set of 3 trebles. And then because you're going to need a corner here in a minute, you need to chain 2. And that's so that the work can bend around. Now you're already at the right treble height, so you don't need to worry about doing another set of chains to make the height of the treble. Just put the yarn over the hook, miss a stitch, go into this one and work 1, 2, 3 trebles. Do another 2 chains so that you've got your corner. Miss a stitch on the ring, and 3 trebles into the next stitch. And try and keep the tension on this, don't make it too tight. It makes your hands hurt, it makes the work difficult to then get the hook into. You just need it tight enough so that things don't start falling off the hook. And I found also, if you make sure you sort of get yourself enough yarn off the ball, you're not then restrained by the tension on the ball. And then just do another 2 chains. Oh, mind you, if you get your yarn wrapped around your scissors, that doesn't help. And you crack your elbow on the tabletop, that doesn't help either. And then just join it with a slip stitch into those first trebles. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the colour of my yarn. So a lot of people, once they've slip stitched to finish, they will just trim this yarn, pull it through the hook. I like to put another nice tight chain on there so that when I pull it through, it's not going to come undone at all. And I'm going to change the colour of the yarn. So we'll go for pink again. And leave your ends. As I say, your ends, they do flap about a bit, but you get a much neater finish if, when you've done your work, you can then sew them into the back of the work and then trim them, and they're less likely to come undone. So, you've now got your corners. What you need to do is you need to join your new yarn. So if you pop your hook through that big space in the corner, you don't need to slip stitch, just simply loop the yarn over it, bring it through, take both ends of yarn through there, and that's locked in. And then again, just do 2 stitches to bring it up to the height of a treble, and then work 2 more trebles into this chain. And if you pull that round, because your corners will stay at your corners, so do 2 chains to make a corner, and then work 3 trebles back into that same chain space, like so. So there you go, you've got a nice corner. And you're going to do the same into each of these corners. So pop a single chain just to space them out, and then work this like so. And if you're new to crochet, you may want to slow this down. You can do that with this settings cog at the bottom of your screen, and you can just slow this down a little bit. But I'm just doing this for speed, because you're busy people. You don't have time to sit and watch me crochet endlessly. And bear in mind, I've been crocheting since I was about 5 years old. An extremely scary friend of my grandmother's offered to teach me how to crochet because I was left-handed. And she terrified me. Lovely woman, but she absolutely terrified me. So it was one of those things, this was years ago, in the days before YouTube, in the days before there were even decent books or magazines, and I taught myself how to crochet. The first thing I ever made was a bookmark for my dad. It was the most hideous thing you've ever seen. And I think he's still got it, which is quite sweet. But once you get the knack of crocheting, it's one of those things you can just sit and do it while you're watching TV. Half the time I don't even need my reading glasses, you just do it by feel. So that's your next set, and I've joined it again with a slip stitch, and I'm just going to secure that with another stitch before cutting it. And then you build it up in the same way. You start at a corner. Oh, actually, I will show you because there's an extra step in here now. Start in the corner. So again, put your hook into the corner, just drape your yarn across it and pull the loop through, and take both ends and pull it through, and then that locks it in. Do your 2 chains to bring it up to the height of a treble, and then work another 2 trebles. Butterfingers. 2 chains at each corner. And that's the other great thing about crochet. If you forget something, like you forget to put 2 chains in your corner, you can unpick it really easily because there's only ever 1 loop to worry about. So that's my 2 sets of 3 trebles, a space chain, and then we just work 1 set of trebles into this central chain space, like so. And a chain, and then you'll start working your sets of trebles into the corner again. And it just builds up really quickly. You can either make a patchwork blanket by just doing several squares that are just sort of 3 layers deep and then sew them together, or you can just keep going round and round and round. All those scraps of yarn that you didn't know what to do with and you didn't want to throw out, they make fantastic patchwork blankets. Even if you just make one for your dog, you've saved some space in your yarn cabinet for a start, and you've made a really pretty, really easy blanket. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope if you haven't crocheted, that's inspired you to get crocheting, or even if you did or you crocheted years ago, get your hook out again and start making something, because it really is quite a relaxing, enjoyable craft. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope we will catch up with you again next time, and thank you very much for watching us. Bye-bye. If you've been inspired to create, please share your makes with us in the comments section below. And if you've enjoyed videos by the Crafts channel, hit the like button. Want to see more of us? Then click subscribe. See you next time.